Of course, you just heard Deborah discuss that Russian jet, which crashed after departing from one of Egypt's airports just about 5 months ago. Will this recent event then put Egypt's aviation security back in the spotlight? It would seem so. Really asking the question, how could something like this happen? One man, perhaps, to answer that, former NTSB Chairman Mark Rosenker. He joins us now by phone with more. And first, Mark, again, many conflicting reports still at this hour, but based on what you have heard and seen, what do you make of the situation?
A very disturbing situation over there, to have the ability to actually get on board an aircraft, take over the aircraft, have the pilots do what this individual wanted them to do. These days, after September 11th, it is hard to believe something like this could actually go down.
As secure, then, as planes can be, it does suggest that fundamentally a plane is still vulnerable to a simple verbal threat.
Absolutely. And as we know, transportation is the target of the terrorist community, whether they are able to either take an aircraft over or, in fact, place a bomb on it. We know that that can happen.
We were speaking to a counterterrorism expert earlier today who discussed the protocols involved with pilots essentially knowing what airports to go to in the event of this. Again, there have been conflicting reports. It would appear that the hijacker, the suspect in question, may have had a Cypriot ex-wife he was simply trying to make contact with. What does it say to you that an airplane leaving Egypt and Egyptian airspace made its way to a neutral country?
This, again, is very disturbing. It seems to me that if this individual needed to get to the destination to see his wife, it would have been a lot simpler to buy an airplane ticket and go there without all of these problems. There's more to this, I believe, than what we're seeing at this moment.
Again, we have referred to the Russian jet taken down over the Sinai some 5 months ago. What will investigators now in Egypt then be looking at once again in terms of security at the airport?
I think this is totally an issue of security at the airport. We did know that there were issues and gaps and great holes behind the scenes in the back part of the airport, if you will, where the luggage is handled, where maintenance is handled, where catering is handled. We did not see necessarily tremendous difficulty in the area where the passengers are. That's going to be examined very, very thoroughly right now. How an individual can now today be able to actually get through security with any type of explosive, that's a real question. That's a disturbing issue. We have to get to the bottom of it before we actually lose an aircraft.
And Mark, this was a domestic flight, a flight that left Alexandria bound for Cairo, roughly half-hour flying time. Is there a difference in the level of security between domestic flights and international flights?
Well, depending upon where these airplanes are going to, there are protocols that everyone signs on to that agrees that if you're coming into our country, you have done certain things.
I know you oversaw some of the security protocols put in place after 9/11. We did see again this plane make its way to the Cypriot tarmac, and we saw, to the best of our knowledge, that the cockpit did not appear to have been breached. We saw crew members, we believe, leaving the plane through the cockpit just prior to the hijacker's arrest. Is there any good news to take from what we've seen?
Well, the good news, if there is any at all, is that no one was hurt. The aircraft was able to get onto the ground. Clearly, the crew handled the situation as well as it possibly could. What I am absolutely amazed about is how today an individual can take over an airplane. Certainly, we have seen, as we saw with Flight 93, a recognition that to have a hijacker on board is not going to traditionally end up with a good ending, and that typically passengers and crew would try to overtake the individual. But in this case, obviously, it did not happen. But again, we're very early in this investigation. We do not know actually exactly what happened and how the crew worked to try to make sure that we had a good outcome.
So many questions demanding answers at this hour. Mark Rosenker, we appreciate the time today.